If you are sending the exact same email to your entire CRM database, you're not doing marketing, you're just annoying your prospects. The days of badge and blast are over. If you want to survive in this day and age, you need hyper relevance. And today I'm going to show you how to set up your HubSpot portal so that the right prospect gets the right message at the right time. My name is Jasper, I'm a certified HubSpot consultant, and let's dive right in. So first of all, let's create our personas, because we do want a single source of truth. And while I'm navigating to the personas, I also quickly want to mention why this actually matters. So you want to create hyper relevance in your marketing because it is the key to improve your conversion rates. So first things first, let's go to our persona. And this is actually a default property in HubSpot. So when you search for persona under contact properties, you will see it right here. And when we go here under the field type, you're going to see that we can add our different personas. Now, in this video, I'm not going to show you exactly how to define those personas and how to do research around those personas. HubSpot actually has a pretty good video about that on their HubSpot marketing channel. I'll link that video right up here and in the video description. So definitely have a look at that video. In this video, we're going to focus on, once you have those personas, how do you actually set up the different systems within HubSpot to make it all work and to deliver those hyper-personalized emails. So here, for example, we already have a marketing executive, and it's important to recognize that you have different people that are interested in your product or service. So for example, when I look at the people watching this YouTube channel and then signing up for my email list or reaching out to me, there's a specific set of personas. So for example, marketing executive is definitely one of them, but so is a VP of marketing, a VP of sales, a CEO, and some other roles in the C-suite even. So we want to make sure that we recognize those differences. And the first thing is having that persona, creating that single source of truth, as I said. So let's add here VP of marketing. We're not going to go too much into detail, but as you can see right here, you can really add all of the different definitions for your personas, making sure that everyone can find your definitions in HubSpot itself. So now we'll also add the CEO here. So now we have 3 different personas, and likely you will have a couple more even, and you can also give them some more creative names as well, but all of that is in that video that I just linked. But this is the first part that we need, where we have our single source of truth, and we want to make sure that any marketing contacts that we get into our system actually have a persona attached to them. So we're going to save this, and the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create some segments using these personas. So for this, we're going to go to CRM and then segments, and we're going to create our first segment here, which will be our engaged marketing executives. Then we're going to say for the persona, of course, we want our marketing executive. And as you can see here, like in those drop downs, it will even show you the description with it as well as the image. So that's where it's important to actually fill that out a little bit more than I did in this video. And then I also want to make sure that we have engaged marketing executives in this specific segment. So we're going to say the last engagement date is, let's say, less than 60 days ago. That's already pretty long. So depending on your business, you might want to change that to 30 days or something different. It really depends on your specific business. If you need any help with any of this, by the way, you can always reach out to me. You'll find the details in the description of this video. So we're going to make this an active segment, so this stays up to date. And then we're going to do the same thing. Let me first load this. We're going to do the same thing for the other ones. So we're going to clone this segment, and now instead of the marketing executive, I'm going to do the VP of marketing. And then last, we're going to also do this for our CEO. So now we have these segments with engaged personas for the 3 personas that we created. Next, you first want to sign up for my HubSpot Excellence newsletter. I'm also going to launch my exclusive webinar series soon, where we go more into the advanced HubSpot techniques. So if you want to be the first one to be notified about that, make sure to sign up to my HubSpot Excellence newsletter, and let's get back into the video. So now we have our segments with our personas and we make sure that they're engaged. Next, we're going to create that segmented lead nurturing flow for our specific personas. So to do this, we're going to go to automation and workflows. And here we're going to create a new workflow from scratch. And we're going to do this based on a segment. So we're going to say is a member of a specific segment. And here we're going to say for this one, let's start with the CEOs. Use this as an example. I'm going to click next. And this is going to be our nurturing flow specifically for engaged CEOs. Before we get into the details here, I do want to make sure that I also have a unenrollment trigger. And that's going to be that if they no longer meet the eligibility conditions, then I do want to unenroll them. And when they meet a workflow goal, I also want to unenroll them. So for the goal, we're going to say if their lifecycle stage is any of opportunity, customer, evangelist, or other. So basically they get past the sales qualified lead stage. Then we want to make sure to unenroll them from this nurturing workflow. You can always double check your goal here by clicking on edit goal as well. So now we have the setup correct. Let me add the nurturing flow here. I usually like to add external to any workflows that have external communication to them. So in this case, I'm going to say external nurturing for engaged CEOs. Let's save that. And this is where we're going to start building out or nurturing specifically for engaged CEOs. So what we're going to do here is we're going to send a first email. And typically you want to have a set of emails here. And you can also work with different branches based on how they engage with your emails. But you want to warm them up so that they're going to be ready to talk to sales soon. So you want to share any relevant assets. You want to inform them of the USPs that your business has. And you can do that specifically for this persona now. So for example, the reasons why a CEO is going to buy from your business are probably going to be a lot different than the reasons why a marketing executive would decide to start working with your business. The marketing executive still needs to loop in the CEO at some point maybe, but to convince the marketing executive first, you're going to have different USPs than when you're trying to convince the CEO themselves. So this first email, we're just going to say, I'm just going to pick some random emails at this point, just to give you an idea. So we're going to send this first email. Then we're going to delay this. Let's say we're going to wait for about 3 days. Then we're going to send the next email. And then at this point, we want to check if they have engaged with any of these two emails. So here we're going to create this and or branch, and we're going to say engaged, not engaged. And keep in mind, this is before that 60-day threshold. So what we're doing is basically just creating an additional layer other than that they have to be engaged to be in this workflow to begin with. So no contact that hasn't engaged with us in the past 60 days will be in this workflow anyway. So here, let's just check for last marketing email. Last marketing email click date is definitely one that I want to look at. So for our timing here, we can see that this is, let's see. So we're going to add another delay here for 3 days in a moment. So that would be 6 days ago. So let's leave this at 6 days ago. We'll also check for a reply date, just in case they replied to any of these marketing emails. It's one of the better engagements that you can get on marketing emails as an actual reply. So these are the things that we're going to look at. As I said, we're going to add a delay here. So we'll add another 3 days. And this is looking pretty good so far. So now when they're engaged, we can say we want to keep going in this specific sequence, or maybe even we want to enroll them in a sales sequence instead. Those are two options that we have here. And when they're not engaged, we might want to go into a slower nurturing flow where we maybe send them an email once a week. So for example, here we'll say, okay, they have not engaged. We'll add a delay for about a week. And then after a week, we're going to send them another marketing email. And then after this, we're also again going to wait for, let's say in that case, to switch it up a little bit, we'll wait 9 days. So You get the gist of it. So when they're not engaged, we don't want to push too much, because in that case, they're just going to unsubscribe from our emails. And when they are engaged, then you want to accelerate the nurturing or go a little bit deeper. Maybe that is a good time to invite them for a webinar as well, so we can engage them in a different way. Those are all great options here. So let's say in this case, I want to enroll them in a sequence. So we got some engagement on these emails, and now we're gonna enroll them in this B2B consulting follow-up sequence. And you can choose the contact owner to be the one that will send the sequence. So here's a good example. Like typically you're gonna have a little bit more emails in this workflow, but I don't want to make this video too long. One thing that I also want to show you is what happens when a contact gets created. They're a marketing contact, but we do not know their persona yet. So in this workflow, we're going to go to filter criteria, contact. The first thing we want to check is if a contact is a marketing contact. So we'll go to marketing contact status is marketing contact. Another thing we want to know is that the persona is unknown. And then to not go too far back, let's just say that the create date, this is especially important when you're like initially launching this. Let's say the create date is less than 30 days ago. But I'm also going to give it a little bit of time when a contact comes in, because you do want to like time this based on other workflows you already have. So depending on how contacts typically come in, you might want to make some changes. You also might want to make some changes based on the source that these contacts came from. For example, when somebody fills out a form on my website coming from a YouTube video, that's already a signal for me that will basically dictate what will happen with that contact afterwards. So another thing we will do here in this case, just as like a good example or a good best practice, I guess, is we're going to look at the create date again. And we're also going to say that this has to be more than 3 days ago. So in this case, like any workflows that immediately get picked up that might still fill out that persona, we'll have the chance to run before we check for this. So in this case, we're not going to re-enroll contacts here. I'm going to name this external pick your own adventure email when persona is unknown. All right, so we have this, and what we want to do now is I prepared an email, and basically what this email does is it's going to ask what that persona identifies as. So for the case of this example, I'm just going to use the HubSpot Excellence Welcome email. But what you're going to do in this email is, if the persona is not known, you're going to just tell them, you're going to be like, right now we do not really know who you are, but we want to get some more information about you so we can make sure that we send you the most relevant information that will be helpful to you. So if you can just pick between these 3 options here, and then you can have, for example, like I'm a marketing executive, I'm a VP of marketing, I'm a CEO, or you can even add an other option, which would then get them to a form where they have to fill out in a text field which persona they would be. And based on that, you can still like process that data, especially with AI. That's a lot easier to do these days. But this will basically help you to identify any contacts coming in when you have no clue who they are just yet. So this prevents you from, again, sending those generic emails to everyone. And it's just like taking that first step, like, okay, we do not know the persona for this contact, but instead of just sending generic emails, we're first going to try to figure out which persona this is. If your volume is relatively low, you can even go as far as researching contacts that come in on LinkedIn and manually filling out the persona, after which they will be picked up by the workflow that we just created. So this is a pretty good way to do these things. One additional thing to mention here as well is that while you're doing this nurturing, you also want to make sure that you set up your lead scoring, which I have a video about as well. You can find it right here. It's about a new lead scoring model in HubSpot. And then before we go, I want to show you one more thing, and that's that we can also use these segments to sync with our different ad platforms. Let me see if I can actually show that in my demo account here. So this would be under audiences, and then you click on create audience. And here you have different audiences that you can create. So the audience that we're looking for is a contact segment. And as you can see here, we can use LinkedIn, Google Ads, and Meta Ads. And what this will do is it will allow us to use any of the segments that we have. So for example, or engaged CEOs, and sync that data with the ad platforms. So this way, we're not only reaching these engaged CEOs that came into our CRM through our email campaigns, but we're also able to reach these people through Meta ads, through LinkedIn ads, and through Google ads, making sure that you're reaching them through different channels and that you're going to stay top of mind while they might be researching the different options that they have for the services that you have to offer. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you will also enjoy my ultimate guide to email marketing, which I'll link right up here. And again, if you need any help with any of this, you will find my details in the description down below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one for more HubSpot excellence. Bye.